Hello, Ray, and thank you for this opportunity to send you a video to explain my English abilities and my skills as an English tutor. I have been, of course, as you know, an English tutor and teacher for a very long time now. So, what I decided I would do is talk about essay writing because essay writing is one of the biggest things that students struggle with. They have a lot of trouble actually knowing what to write, knowing how to write it, and they really need a good plan of how to consistently do very well in school so that they don't have to worry because the essay is almost in every class, especially in high school. There'll be at least one essay in most classes, especially in things like English and social studies and even science sometime. So I'm going to talk about that. Welcome, class. Today we're going to talk about something that a lot of you have struggled with, perhaps, essay writing. Essay writing is the key part of most academic work in high school anyway. Your teachers often will give you either very big essays or very small essays, depending on what you're actually doing. And as you go on into university, essays are the main thing that you will be doing, especially in the arts. So in English and in history and even in philosophy and all of those things. So we really need to have a solid grounding in how to write a proper essay if we're going to do anything else in academia. So, one of the big things, though, that people struggle with essays is they don't really know what they're doing or why they're writing it. So, first of all, audience is a really big key here. What are you writing this for? You know, are you writing an English essay that's talking about Shakespeare plays and comparing them to each other? You know, that's sort of an example. Are you writing an essay on a poem? You know, say, for example, a Robert Frost poem or a poem by William Wordsworth. You know, what are you actually doing? What are you doing? So, and this is a tactic that has worked for me and many of my students in the past of having a plan of writing what we call the 5-paragraph essay. So that's most likely what you're going to be asked to write, you know, in the high school years anyway. Of course, as you move on to university, it actually is much bigger than that. Sometimes you're going to be writing 3,000-4,000 words for an essay, which is a very long essay at times. So this one is easy enough to understand, as it sounds like it's only five paragraphs. So I thought we would talk about how do we structure this in a way that you can use for anything that you're going to be writing. So we need to have something I like to call a road map. It's like a map of where you're going. So it actually helps you and your reader know where you're coming. Because if the teacher knows where she's going or he's going, then they'll be much more likely to give you more marks because teachers don't want to like try and find it. It's not a treasure map, right? They want to actually see what it is you're doing and have it an easy thing for them to know what to do with. Like, oh, I know what this person's writing about. Oh, I understand what they're trying to explain to me. That's what you want. You don't want them to be wondering, like, what is this actually about? No. So that's the roadmap I'm talking about. And there are quite a few steps that can actually help you get there. So the first paragraph is the introduction paragraph, right? That's what it is. So you need something called like a kicker. That's what I like to say. Something that kicks it off, for example. Something that makes the person want to keep reading. Right? So maybe it's a funny story, maybe it's an anecdote, maybe it's a joke, maybe it's other kinds of like statistics. Like, did you know that there are people who think that Shakespeare didn't write his own plays? But most of us are aware that he did. Or did you know that 80% of people actually struggle with reading from time to time? those kinds of things, something that's interesting. Or when I first started writing, poetry, I thought poetry was really hard to understand. But now that I've been writing it for some time, I've actually become much better. And so I want to explain to you how I did that. And then maybe you go on to explain, right? That kind of thing. So you have an introduction, which has your thesis statement in it. Your thesis statement is what the entire essay is about, right? That's what you need to know. What is my essay about, for example, right? And it can be a simple one. It can be a simple thing as like, I love dogs, for example. So golden retrievers. Say you're going to write about golden retrievers, so you need to have some kind of idea about how to do that. Like, golden retrievers are very friendly. Golden retrievers are very beautiful. Golden retrievers are very smart, for example. So that's something that you would write about in the introduction, and you would talk about that. Then we also now need ways of explaining our points, right, that I just mentioned. So you need three body paragraphs that talk about each of your previous ideas, like they're friendly, for example. So you want to talk about that. You want to have a topic sentence, which is what the paragraph's going to be about. Like, I believe, if you're allowed to have an opinion, for example, I believe that golden retrievers are the best dog in the world because they're so friendly, they're always kind, they always want to be with you. That's an example. And then you keep doing that for the other two paragraphs until you get to the bottom, until you've done all three paragraphs, and then you're at the concluding paragraph, right? This is one of the most important paragraphs, and people do not use it that way. They don't seem to think that it's the last thing that people are going to read, which makes it really essential because your teacher is going to mark you based most likely on how good your conclusion is. So you want to wrap up everything. You want to wrap up what you just said. You might want to talk about how you proved your thesis statement. That's always a good idea. And you might want to leave the people with something interesting to think about. Like, if you're thinking of buying a dog, why don't you think about a golden retriever? You won't go wrong, and they will be a good companion for you. So then the person's thinking about it now. Maybe I do want to have a golden retriever, which was what your whole essay was about, right? Maybe you wanted them to see how great golden retrievers are. And so that wraps up, it's like a wayfinding map of what your essay is about. And you can do that for any topic that you could possibly think about, you can actually write about. So that's something that I think we should work on. So what I want us to do now is we're going to practice. We're going to all practice, this idea. We're going to practice at least the opening paragraph right now. And then if you need any help, I'm certainly here and we can talk about it. Thank you so much, and I hope to hear from you soon. Bye-bye.